Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to bring you one more from my movies in lockdown. I'm going to keep the channel going and everything else. Lockdown will be ending here for me soon. Um, as it is, I got to watch the movie Sling Blade for the first time. Never have seen anything else except some previews, everything else. In and of itself, I can see the range of the acting skills that the main character, played by Billy Bob Thornton, he had to reach to find whatever it was that he was trying to portray out there, which in a way still left a little bit of mystery in it. He did portray him as a person who was mentally handicapped or else a savant that knew how to deal with engines, a person who did not have much social experience, but yet was able to quickly come into society. In a way, it dealt with many issues throughout the entire situation off of it. The camera cinematography went from personal point of view in several areas, especially like him going around through his own house, looking at whatever was there that he used to live in with his father and them, when he killed the man that he thought was raping his mother, and then killed his mother for being an adulterer. He self-educated himself at the nervous house, as he said. As it was, he read the Bible all the way through. In of itself, a person who's not that uneducated, in a way. Maybe simple in a lot of situations, grasped at a lot of things as he came to help a young man find his way into his own age. Even sitting by while an abusive, live-in boyfriend with a young boy that he befriended's mother, who then took him in, let him live in the garage. He built himself up, made an entire situation out there. Learned how to deal in society, learned how to be accepting of people who were not of society's norms. Someone that he would probably have, with association and with the way mental health went at the time, and him being raised in a very religious situation, he made friends with a gay homosexual man. And then, basically with that, he was not any type of violent outburst or anything, so he was able to be almost looked at as reformed. In the beginning of the movie, he was set down for an interview right before he was released from the nervous hospital. And he said he didn't think there was any need for killing anymore. Then he found a reason for that. Protecting a woman who had no other options to keep her house and her young son clothed, fed, with the good money from a construction worker who drank too much and was probably abusive. Drank to the point that a little 6-year-old boy could, when he sat by, beat him up and basically throw him out of the house. However, generally when you fight a drunk, he showed enough, the main character, Billy Bob Thornton's character, enough knowledge to know that you learn when you need to start fighting. So after making a life for himself, knowing how to avoid trouble and everything else, being able to go and face the demons of his past, see the place where he had to bury his little brotherette, who was born premature and everything, even though he knew he wouldn't survive. Confronted his father, which does bring into a lot of issues and everything else, especially with things being taken out of the Bible today, like with the story of Saul and the Witch. It won't ever be in print anymore after, I think, 2009. One could say that he was from another generation, slightly brainwashed in a way, but able to make his own decisions and right and wrong in it. He abandoned his father and his ways of bad teachings. Everything else showed that no matter what his shortcomings were, he was capable of moving forward, taking care of himself, and finding resources to be okay. And in a way, he decided to give up on all of that and protect his new friends and everything. Sharpened up a lawnmower blade. Sorry for spoilers here. And killed the mean, drunken construction worker, who even previously, a couple of nights before, got drunk and went off on his whole band and alienated himself from almost the entire neighborhood. And could do so basically because he played cards with the cops and the chief of police. In a way, it is a coming-of-age story for so many different people. The store owner who employs the mother, who's homosexual, comes of age because he can sit down in a restaurant and talk about his lifestyle with the main character here. The main character coming back, getting out of the nervous asylum, coming to grips that maybe he should only be in the nervous asylum because it's just too simple to come up with the answers for stopping future violence, bad situations, or other things like that. Even in the mental asylum, he comes to age at the end of it, again, telling this one person who always comes over and tells him about all of his kills and everything else, and says that he's not talking to him anymore. And he calls him back to business. The young boy comes of age. The mother comes of age. He comes of age and gets a girlfriend whenever he's out. He has everything that life could throw at him to give him. And in and of itself, he decides to go back to the place he's always known. He comes of age, rejecting his father, saying how his father wasn't right or anything else. His father couldn't even look at him. Walled the house off into one real little room that he had stayed in. The band members come of age, leaving the abusive boyfriend. His name was Carl. And I think the acting was very spot on. It was very much attuned with a lot of the situations that are brought up all the time. And in a way, it's another type of movie that shows a lot of situations in the South, or else I guess you would say the poor white areas, that every 10 years or so something comes up. There's been another one that's came up here lately I don't want to say it's anything comparable in like any type of like continuational story or anything. This one's more set to me of what it seems like in the late 1950s, early 1960s, simply because of the dress and everything else, and a lot of the attitude in houses, and when the music seems just to be starting in. I know people could probably say it could be at any time out there, but homosexuality did have kind of a to the forward situation in the 60s and 70s. Maybe it took a back seat in the 80s and a little bit of the 90s. And you could say it kind of just repeats itself. It seems a very thought-inspiring, invoking movie where age and boundaries don't really exist, and in a way, they're disarmed and taken away very quickly. And one thing that we should try to probably remember with this is it basically centers around a person who never was allowed to go to elementary school or anything else like that, and was raised by a very strict code of right and wrong. And in protecting his family, he ended up going to a nervous asylum for murder. And then the family that he created afterwards, he protected them so he could be removed from them to go back to the nervous asylum. In a way, you could see that he would be planning this because he keeps saying, "Boy like you ought not say things like that. You say them. I'm older. That's me." It ends, the scene right before the last scene, with him sitting down, calling the police, telling him what he did, and then getting some mustard out of the refrigerator and putting on a biscuit and waiting for him. And taking control of his own life in the nervous asylum. So many of the things out there could never have came about without him leading all the others to coming to age, having a life, and showing everything. But at the end of the day, it was just he could not stand the fact that people would be hurting people. And then, in a way, even when he killed his mother, that she was hurting his dad. I'd recommend the movie for anybody to watch simply because, in a way, it's an American tragedy with a bit of a twist, where the person still maintains their own independence and their own freedom, even if from behind a form of a prison. Locked away in his own mind, knowing with satisfaction that he had done the right thing. Each and every time, even if society didn't agree with him. This is Colin Dawson with Lockdown Movies. Like and subscribe.